really great work. But I'm Sen Sirota. I am the state representative for House District 9, which is southeast and east central Denver and some unincorporated Arapahoe County. I too am in my 8th year in the legislature, and it does seem like it's both been 100 years and gone by in the blink of an eye. But for those who don't know me, I'm a mom of 2. I'm a social worker. I have had the honor of serving on a number of different committees, but for the last 4 sessions now, I have served on the Joint Budget Committee and have now received the distinct honor of becoming the chair during the worst budget year ever. But I appreciate the opportunity to do this work and to serve you in this work. In addition to my budget work, which maybe I'll get to in a minute, but I also am working on a few different policies on my own. I tend always to work on various early childhood policies, so I have a few bills in that respect. I was proud to sponsor the legislation that implemented universal pre-K and established our Department of Early Childhood. And so I'll have a bill coming to continue to improve upon that statute and that department. And I'm sponsoring a couple of bills that will come over from the Senate to streamline some programs within that department. I have a bill that will strengthen the junk fees bill that we passed last year. I think it was the most popular bill of the session, but we had particular provisions in there related to the landlord-tenant agreement, and I think there have been a number of questions generated as the bill met its implementation date in January, and so we are just strengthening and clarifying the protections there. I'm working on a bill to strengthen. 2 years ago we passed a bill to create a gun dealer permit. If you want to sell firearms in the state of Colorado, you now, in addition to your federal firearms license, you have to have a state permit, and there are a number of rules that go along with that permit. So legislation was just introduced yesterday to strengthen those safety measures within that program. And I've got, I think, another bill working on homelessness, and also my annual elections bill, which has many provisions usually, but it's certainly on, I think, a lot of folks' mind. We really have the gold standard of elections here in Colorado. But part of the reason for that is that we spend each year going through our statute and really strengthening the provisions that we have to continue ensuring that we are running the best elections in the country, that we are generating the most voter participation in our elections, and so we want to ensure that our statutes are strong, that we are protecting against some of the concerns that arise with national politics and the like. So those are some of the things that I'm working on apart from the budget. But the budget is, I think, my main focus this year. As the majority leader shared, we in last year's budget had about $1 billion gap to close. And then and we did that. We are constitutionally obligated to pass a balanced budget. So we do that each year, and we were fairly well balanced, and then HR 1 passed, was signed into law, I think July 4th, and at that point in time, our projected revenues for the year dropped by about $1 billion, and so the legislature had to come in for a special session in August to try to mitigate for some of that loss, to try to bring the balance into budget into balance. And following that special session, the governor signed an executive order which made several hundreds of millions of dollars in further reductions to the budget. And now we are at the point in the legislature where next week we will take up what are called supplementals, and we will have to essentially officially pass into law these budget reductions to balance the current year's budget. While we do that, we are also in the process of now another $850 million gap in this year's budget. And so because we have had to close these gaps and for the last couple of years, we are now at the point where we've done the easy things. We've already taken the low-hanging fruit. We've made one-time payments, but the position that Colorado is in now is that we are facing a structural deficit because we live in a state that has TABOR, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which requires a huge laundry list of things, but one of those things is that it sets an arbitrary cap, which means that the state's ability to take in and expend the revenue is capped at the growth of inflation plus population. But our state budget doesn't just pay for regular household goods. A lot of what we have to pay for is people and medical costs. And those kinds of things are growing at a pace that is much faster than the general CPI index. So we have hit this point where just to maintain what we are already doing is what is causing that gap between what we are able to expend under the TABOR cap versus what it costs to continue to meet those costs. And so that's the delta that we are trying to close once again. And so that is requiring a lot of really painful considerations. It is loss that we are experiencing in all places of government. In last year's budget, we cut, I think it was around $80 million of transportation funding that was supposed to go toward local projects all across the state. So those are jobs and those are projects that make our state have a better transportation system, a safer system, and those were investments we were not able to make. We are now talking about, we'll take up a bill next week that reduces by $110 million the money that came in from Proposition 123, which is to go toward the development of affordable housing. So that is just delaying more projects to build affordable housing. But I will also say that one of the huge costs, I mentioned healthcare, and this is driving costs in everything from the Department of Human Services and the Department of Corrections, but also largely in our state Medicaid program, which takes up about a third of our budget. And those costs are just far outpacing the TABOR cap. And so this is leading us to have to consider very, very painful cuts to that budget. And there is, I'm a social worker. My values would say, this is the last place that I want to make cuts. But it is impossible for us to balance a budget where a third of the budget is in Medicaid, and that particular budget is what is driving our inability to stay below the TABOR cap. And so, and you could cut somewhere between 10 and 15 state departments' general fund and still not make up for the gap of the increase in Medicaid costs. So we have to make cuts there. And I think those are just among the most painful decisions that we are making. And if you want to make cuts in Medicaid, you can do it by cutting provider rates. You can do it by cutting the benefits that people receive, or you can do it by cutting the number of people who can receive said benefits. And I think we are making provider rate cuts, and we are also making adjustments to the benefits that people can receive. And I'll be happy to take questions about it. I'll just say that it is inescapable that we are looking at this budget, and I will say the same for K-12. Our K-12 budget is another third of our budget, and these are I think sacred cows to a lot of people, but we have just reached a place where sadly nothing is sacred undertaker anymore.
Before we get into Q&As, I want to let you give your shameless plug for Rep. Mabry for this bill.
Oh yes. So on second reading in the House.